This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and today we are going to preview the San Francisco 49ers Week 5 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. The 49ers enter Week 5 2-2, and they just came off a great win against the New England Patriots, and now that they look ahead with 2 pivotal NFC West matchups ahead of them. The first of those games, again, is this Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals, who are 1-3 on the season, coming off of one of the worst losses of the season thus far for any team. They lost 42-14 to the Washington Commanders. It was a battle of bad teams, or at least bad rosters, and the Cardinals came out on the losing end by far. The bigger questions in this game are, can the Niners stack another win as they try to climb up the NFC West standings? They currently sit 2 games behind the Seattle Seahawks. If they win this Sunday and Seattle loses, it sets up a winner, I guess you can say take all, in regards to the early season matchups for the NFC West between San Francisco and Seattle on Thursday Night Football in 1 week's time. But the other questions are, will Kyler Murray continue to give San Francisco fits, which he has done in his previous matchups against San Francisco's defense, whether it was Robert Saleh or DeMeco Ryans or even Steve Wilkes last year late in the season? How will Nick Sorensen scheme up against Kyler Murray? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's preview the San Francisco 49ers Week 5 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, starting with San Francisco's offense matching up against the Arizona Cardinals defense. The Arizona Cardinals, and I put this as politely as I can, have arguably the worst defense in football. Right now, according to the EPA rankings, Arizona ranks 29th against the pass, 27th against the run, and 30th overall with both of the run and pass combined. So the 30th worst offense in football. Not great. In fact, borderline terrible. In fact, it likely is terrible. Right now, San Francisco has a perfect opportunity to put 2 wins on the board in a row. Played a relatively okay, albeit banged up defense against the Patriots last week. This week, though, the Cardinals, even when healthy, are just terrible. They're so bad. The game plan against Washington that Jonathan Gannon's defense had was just odd and weird. They rushed 40% of the time and blitzed just 7 times. So where even maybe a Cardinals fan might say that, well, Jonathan Gannon's scheme can help this defense overcome the holes it may have, it's not the case. In fact, Jonathan Gannon and his scheme this year have looked, again, terrible, if you want to use that word again. It's not been great. It's really been pretty bad, and I do want to invite not just yourself, but also welcome the Cardinals to Brocktoberfest. Brocktober has begun. It begins this Sunday against Arizona, and I'll tell you what, we had a comment earlier in the day by Bobo saying this may be the year Brock Purdy wins the MVP. And I'll tell you what, this is a really good opportunity for Brock Purdy to continue his stretch of MVP level play against the Arizona Cardinals. Brock looked great against the Rams, albeit they lost that game. Was not his fault. He looked, I won't say phenomenal against the Patriots, but he looked really good. His one mistake was really just kind of a whatever interception. But in this game, Brock Purdy, kind of like Jimmy Garoppolo, has owned the Cardinals in the past. In the last couple seasons that Brock Purdy has faced the Cardinals defense, he went 36 for 46 for 525 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions with a quarterback rating of 150.45. Almost as perfect as you can be. That was Brock Purdy against the Cardinals in those 2 games they played. The Niners offense scored 80 points. So on average, they're scoring 40 points against a defense that has Jonathan Gannon, and that in this offseason essentially remade their entire defense. Defensive line, they brought in new people. Linebackers brought in new guys. They remade the entire secondary. This defense is young, which means they are susceptible to a veteran-led team and a quarterback riding the high that is Brock Purdy. The Cardinals defense so far this season ranks 32nd, dead last in completion percentage allowed at 78.6%. They rank 30th. So what is that? Third worst in football with a quarterback rating allowed at 110.4. I don't know what the over-under is for Brock Purdy passing yards, but by all means, hit the over. Brock Purdy in this game should be able to just light up this Cardinals defense that, yes, went out and signed Sean Murphy-Bunting, went and drafted Max Melton, went and signed a bunch of guys to help aid this really bad secondary. Brock Purdy, with the weapons he has and the level of quarterback he's playing at currently, this should be, I don't want to say a guaranteed great game from him because you have to go out there and play, but by all means, Brock Purdy should be on or still on the next level he's been playing at this Sunday against the Cardinals defense. And one thing you'd point to when teams have bad secondaries, okay, you would hope teams like that can generate some pressure to alleviate the pressure on the secondary unit. That's not the Cardinals. They don't cover very well. They don't get pressure. The Cardinals this year, right now, have the exact same amount of pressures as Nick Bosa. They have 19 total pressures in 4 games. So do some quick math here. That's just above 4 pressures a game. Now, San Francisco's offensive line so far this year has not been anything to write home about, but if you're only getting 4.5-ish pressures per game, you're not pressuring Brock Purdy. You're not generating pressure via the blitz. You're going to give Brock Purdy clean pockets to throw from all day long and expect not bad things to happen to you. This, again, is a game to pound the over on Brock Purdy passing yards. I'm thinking in my head over 300 for sure. Like, this game might get ugly. And I never want to get too cocky because we've been humbled a lot this year, right? The Rams did it. The Vikings did it. There's been some humble pie been eaten the last couple of weeks, but I like to believe San Francisco has bounced back offensively with Deebo Samuel back in the fold. Hopefully, fingers crossed, George Kittle can play in this one. Juwan Jennings playing great, and Brandon Ayuk, who is showing flashes of his former self. Still no Christian McCaffrey, but the weapons are there for Brock Purdy to succeed and have a great game through the air. But again, if you're not going to pressure him and you're going to give Brock Purdy clean pockets to throw from all day, good luck. Really good luck. And even when they do give Brock Purdy clean pockets, okay, go back to what the Rams were doing at the end of the Rams game, right? Where San Francisco lost. They were dropping 7-8 guys in coverage, hoping that if we can lock down these receivers and tight ends and give Purdy nowhere to throw, and we can play kind of this sticky coverage or just kind of cover every end of the field, cover up the soft zones and the bubbles that would give Brock Purdy some usual space to throw into. If we can take those away, we'll win this game. Now, some receiver drops came into play for sure, but by all means, or by all intents and purposes, the Rams did that against Brock Purdy because they have, albeit a bad secondary, some guys that can still cover the football. The Cardinals don't even have that, so they can't get pressure. They allow the highest completion percentage of any quarterback in football, the third highest quarterback rating, and when you look at their secondaries, passer rating when targeted allowed this year via Pro Football Focus, it don't get any prettier, folks. You can go down the line from safeties to cornerbacks. It does not matter. Linebackers. Like San Francisco should have the intermediate routes open, deep shots open. This should be an all-around air raid type of day from San Francisco's offense. Jalen Thompson, a 145.5 passer rating allowed. That is the worst on the Arizona Cardinals defense. Starling Thomas, a 120.2. Kazir White, a 115.9. Budda Baker, who by all means in previous years has been their best defensive player, a player that many fans wanted San Francisco to acquire this past offseason when the Ufunga injury was like, what's going to happen with that guy? 104.5 passer rating allowed this year when targeted. The big cornerback they signed this offseason, Sean Murphy-Bunting, who is young, and you hope he can come in and kind of breathe life into this Jonathan Gannon secondary, a 104.2 passer rating allowed when targeted. Rookie Max Melton, 87.5. Linebacker Mac Wilson, 84.8. Like, this is a gnarly unit of, like, can anybody cover out there? Like, when I think of the Cardinals defense, it's just like, ugh. Like, who do you have? Like, the people going out there aren't executing. The scheme's not helping them. But by all means, like, it's not just bad. Going back to the passer rating when allowed through the season thus far, when you have five integral rotational secondary pieces with over 100 passer ratings allowed when targeted, Brock Purdy should be able to have a field day. This should be, I don't want to say the easiest game he's played thus far this year, but when you look at it so far, the Jets have a competent defense that can win them some games despite having Breece Hall and Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. The Vikings have Brian Flores, a really good defense thus far. They're getting takeaways left and right. This season, the Rams, who are banged up and aren't great by really any means, even they have some players that can lift up a bad unit. That's a first-time defensive coordinator, but they got Sean McVay. You're getting some help by the plethora of veteran coaching around and veteran players on the team. And then the Patriots, who, although Belichick is gone, Gerard Mayo is carrying over that exact same scheme to a certain degree. Like, there's a lot of carryover there. The Cardinals are a young team, unproven, and not playing well with the subpar scheme thus far this season, with five guys again allowing 100-plus passer ratings when targeted this far. That includes Budda Baker, who you would assume be the outlier, say, well, that guy's having a great year. No, they're all having bad years. Like, again, if you have Brock Purdy on your fantasy team, you better start him. I don't care who you have ahead of them, you better play Brock Purdy. This is a game where I go back to last year in Arizona. San Francisco put up 40 points with ease against this defense. And you can argue that this defense, despite adding plenty of talent to it, has played worse than last year's unit, which is shocking. Shouldn't be the case. I thought the Cardinals walked away from the draft with one of the better drafts in regards to offense and defense. Got Max Melton, got Darius Robinson, who Niner fans were in love with in the pre-draft process, the edge rusher out of Missouri. They added some guys you point to and say, wow, there's some real talent being added to this defense, and those guys have not shown up in any form or fashion. They're young players, they'll get better with time, but my goodness, even the vets they brought in are just terrible. Terrible. We already talked about, we haven't talked about Jordan Mason just yet either. It's all been Brock Purdy. But Jordan Mason so far this year is the second leading rusher in football, having a great year. Has made many people think that once or if Christian McCaffrey ever comes back, that he'll split carries with Jordan Mason. I think you'd see McCaffrey utilized as more of a scat back, slot receiver once that, or if it actually happens, hopefully. But the Cardinals this year, it's not just going to be this air raid, Brock Purdy beat us kind of day. The Cardinals this year have given up 146.5 rushing yards per game through 4 weeks of play. So when you tell the opposition, okay, look, we can't stop you through the air. We're going to try to put 8 guys in the box, put 7 guys in the box, and you're not going to run against us. We're going to bring blitzes. We're going to bring pressure. We're going to manufacture pressure. The Cardinals can't even do that. The guys they brought in, Bilal Nichols, he ain't doing a job. Like the guys they wanted to be run-stuffing defenders they brought in, they paid big money to, aren't performing well. This is again, a terrible Cardinals defense where San Francisco should be able to bully ball their way to a victory. And I don't mean, ground and pound, they're going to run the football 45 times. I'm talking, it doesn't matter what facet Kyle Shanahan decides to go with. This should be an all-around just trouncing and pantsing of the Cardinals at Levi Stadium on Sunday. I hope you bought tickets. If you haven't, use our promo code 49ersaccess at SeatGeek.com. Go get some tickets. You're going to watch a great Niner win, hopefully, this Sunday. As Lori Matthews says here, Mason needs to stay healthy. I'd agree, Lori. It will be interesting to see what Shanahan does. Is Guerendo still in good faith with Kyle Shanahan after he fumbled that kick return last week? I certainly hope so. You, of course, got Patrick Taylor back there. Maybe Kyle Juszczyk gets some run. I would assume we will see some Deebo Samuel wide back usage in this game, albeit I don't think you actually need it really ever. Like, Deebo Samuel's a player that, let's say you want to keep Mason healthy. Let's say you want to keep Mason, upright for the majority of the year if McCaffrey never comes back, right? Mason has to be healthy. If he's not healthy, you got Guerendo with a third-round pick or fourth-round pick this year, whatever he was, Patrick Taylor and Matt Breida, if they actually sign that guy, right? You never know. They have Keyshawn Vaughn still, I believe, on the practice squad. But Deebo Samuel's a player you also want to stay healthy, and utilizing him as the wide back, albeit at times, is worth it. Deebo Samuel has a limited amount of touches under his belt or available to him each year. The last thing you want to do is waste those on useless wide back carries when Mason's been so good, or keep a fresh guy like Guerendo out there, throw him out there and say, hey, give me 5 carries a game and alleviate my stars. That's what I would do. Bobo says here that they hope that Mason stays healthy until CMC returns and hopefully get a 1-2 punch with them in the backfield together. I mean, that would be great, but I just don't know. And I've been saying this for a while. The McCaffrey injury terrifies me. It has since I heard tendinitis. I know he was in Germany, and you hope he can come back. He scored, I think 7 touchdowns against the Cardinals last year. It was just like, oh my God, that's how great CMC was. But, man, yeah, it'd be great to have a 1-2 punch. It would feel like I kind of been saying for a while. It'd feel like the LaDainian Tomlinson, Michael Turner backfield the Chargers had for a little bit of time in San Diego when they actually had a fan base that would actually go watch their games and have their own stadium to fill. But it'd be great. I just don't have faith CMC will come back and be himself. I really hope so. I think San Francisco's offense is better or can be better this year than it was last year, which if that's the case, you're going to find yourself in shootouts. You're going to win shootouts, and hopefully you're not stalling in the Super Bowl on the Chiefs or the opposing team's end of the field. But San Francisco's offense, I think, if they can get Christian McCaffrey back, if George Kittle can stay healthy, if Deebo Samuel can stay healthy, if Ayuk can return to form, a lot of ifs and buts, I get that. But San Francisco definitely has the firepower. Ricky Pearsall hasn't even played a game thus far, which he might play in 2 weeks' time. Fingers crossed he's back soon. But a lot of firepower, not even on the field consistently for San Francisco or at all. So there's definitely more heights to climb for the San Francisco offense this year. Eric Wallace says here on the YouTube chat, evening all, hope you're having a great day. Eric, thanks for joining us tonight. He says, I may like Seattle. Oh, we got a Seahawks fan in the house, but Brock Purdy proved to me twice he can win anywhere. Going back to Brock Purdy for a hot second, this is a game where Brock Purdy should be able to flourish. This is a game where Brock Purdy, again, should be able to just, whether it's Deebo or Jacob Cowing or whoever it is, Ayuk, Jennings, like San Francisco's offense should walk on the field with the knowledge of we can put 40 up on these guys. If the Commanders can put up 40 on this defense, we should be able to put up 60. Like, that's how bad this should be on Sunday. But to give the Cardinals some credit, it's a divisional game. They're always tougher than everyone says they should be. Like, I always go back to when San Francisco wasn't very good. Tom Sula, Chip Kelly, even pre-Harbaugh, Mike Nolan, Mike Martz, Jimmy Ray was there as the OC, and they were just like, what's going on? Like, directionless football. San Francisco still gave the Cardinals fits and vice versa. They were in the Harbaugh era. The Cardinals gave San Francisco fits. It's always been an underrated rivalry of, like, the Cardinals are scary. 2019 almost beat San Francisco twice. There has been a lot of history here with both these teams, and a lot of that is Kyler Murray being the quarterback. He's always been this kind of thorn in San Francisco's defense's side, but I want to stick with the offense for a split second because, yes, I want to get into Kyler Murray. Yes, I want to get into Marvin Harrison Jr. I see you, Lori Matthews, in the YouTube chat. We'll get into all that in a hot second. I do want to talk about the guy that has gotten the most amount of attention for the wrong things this offseason. That is Brandon Ayuk. Whether it's the extension talk, last week it was Shortsgate. He's wearing the wrong shorts at practice. What shall we do? First off, who cares? It doesn't bother me at all. He wore red. I had baseball practice in high school. I wore watermelon shorts thinking, oh, these are kind of funny. It was stupid, but I was a teenager. It was dumb. I was the captain of the team, and I still was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. Coach said, the heck is that? Get up. Get out of here. And I was like, huh? He said, if you don't have the right shorts, get off the field. And I was like, oh. This is a big deal. I didn't think it was, okay? Had to go in my bag, put the right shorts on, but I digress. It's shorts. Who cares? It's not Bountygate. It's not Spygate. It's Shortsgate. Not that serious. But Brandon Ayuk, I think we have been seeing these incremental steps up the mountain, up the hill to refine himself. And I think this game against the Cardinals, I think, is where we finally see a breakout of Brandon Ayuk. Go back to all the context I already said. The Cardinals have the worst completion percentage allowed in football, over 75%. They have 5 secondary players that have an over 100 passer rating allowed. The run game should work for San Francisco, and more importantly, I think if you forget numbers for 1 second, just look at the schematic way the Cardinals play defense. Jonathan Gannon, who was in Philadelphia for a couple years ago, was in there in 2002 when Hassan Reddick hit Brock Purdy's arm and he snapped his UCL. That was the DC who did eventually lose the Super Bowl to the Chiefs, but no shame there. But Gannon is known to run a lot of cover 4 and quarters coverage in the secondary, meaning that their defense is susceptible to a lot of quick outs in soft zones, which if you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking, your light bulb has gone off and you say, wow, a player that you want to get going, that in previous years when he's been on top of his game has been known to sit in the soft zones on defense, find the small bubbles in coverage, and be utilized in quick outs. Does that ring a bell? That's right, Brandon Ayuk. I think this is a game where we see Brandon Ayuk finally catch over 5 balls a game. I think he gets to eat underneath. We'll see a few deep balls in this game for sure, but overall, I think the way Jonathan Gannon plays defense, it's like they don't want to get beat up top. They want to keep everything in front of them, but when they do that, it opens up so many soft and small zones in the secondary where Brock can just kind of sit there and sit pretty and have these long, sustainable drives, which if you want to get a guy going, this is a game for Brandon Ayuk to eat underneath, to get in those small zones and just kind of eat up the field, because there's going to be a lot of open field in the first layer and second layer of the defense where it's like, hey, if you're going to give it to us, we're going to take it. You want to give us 5 yards on first down to Ayuk on a quick out? Let's do this thing. You want to give us 8 yards over the middle? Cool. Great. You guys already can't cover anyways. You want to play quarters and cover 4? By all means, we will eat there all day. You know, the Cardinals defense is almost like a buffet. Now, I haven't been to many buffets in my life, but I have been to a Chinese buffet next to my house back when I was in the Bay Area, where when I was younger, all I wanted to eat was the crab legs. And it was like, man, crab legs for like $20, all you can eat, sign me up. The other food's probably great. The deep shots downfield are great. The running game is good. Oh, you want to give me some sweet and sour chicken, some sweet and sour pork, some chow mein? All that stuff is great and all, but I want to eat these crab legs all day long. The Cardinals defense is essentially saying, hey, we'll give you the crab legs. We'll give you everything you want to satisfy you on this game day. We don't want you taking deep shots downfield. We want you to be comfortable eating these crab legs. Well, if those crab legs, which are expensive, right, you're going to give me 8 yards a pop, I'll take it all day. I'm satisfied. I'm good. You can score touchdowns. You can score points on crab legs, on the underneath stuff in the soft zone of a defense. So by all means, Jonathan Gannon, please call cover 4. Please call quarters coverage. You're going to give San Francisco and Brandon Ayuk everything they want. I thought the Patriots game Ayuk had last week, albeit wasn't amazing. I thought that there was a lot of signs that he is starting to kind of shed this offseason of not having a training camp, where you saw that diving catch on third down, on 3rd and 9 for a first down. You're like, yep, that's Brandon Ayuk, the deep shot in the first half. While you want to see it more consistently, I think this should be the game. Should be the game Ayuk finally kind of snaps out of the spell he's been under. You know, it's been the offseason all along. It's been Ayuk all along. Hopefully we can get this thing kind of rolling headed into a Thursday night game against the Seattle Seahawks, because you give that Seattle defense more to deal with, by all means, they're going to have a lot of trouble. That defense was cooked against the Lions. Win this game first. Get Ayuk going first in this game against one of the worst defenses in football. You'll have a much brighter future ahead of you. We aren't sure about George Kittle just yet. If he'll play, didn't practice today. He had his helmet on, had his pads on, and kind of like Fred Warner, did not partake in practice. So, of the two, I think Kittle will play, whereas Warner is more concerning to me. If you can't lose a player on defense, it is Fred Warner, so you might as well, hey, if you can't go, if you're risking further injury, if there's a game to sit out in, it's probably this one. But divisional game, could be a trap game. Cardinals got their arses kicked in. They want to get some payback. What better payback? And to save their season, they don't want to fall to 1-4. They beat the Rams earlier this year. They had the Bills on the ropes in week 1. You know, they're feisty for sure. They're a good offense, but a terrible defense. There is a world where this game becomes a shootout, which I would like to favor San Francisco, but no Fred Warner, and you never know what can possibly happen, but I think I'd still favor San Francisco. I think Deebo Samuel, kind of like Brandon Ayuk, is going to be able to eat underneath. I wouldn't be shocked if we see a lot of kind of this drag routes, comebackers, post to Jawan Jennings in the corner. Like, the Niners offense can certainly get vertical against the Cardinals defense, but overwhelmingly, I don't really expect explosive plays deep downfield, knowing the Cardinals will just give Debo 5 yards for free on drags, end arounds. The old-fashioned L route you would draw when you're playing football in the street. Hey, run the L route up and to the left. There'll be a lot of that this Sunday, hopefully, against the Cardinals. Should not be a complex game plan against one of the worst defenses in football. But that brings us to, well, actually, the offensive line for San Francisco, just really quickly here. They've been improving week by week, had their best game against the Patriots this past Sunday when they got the big win. The Cardinals have 19 pressures. They don't have anybody. The idea that they're going to find some way to get pressure against Pooney and McKivitz and those guys in Brendel, this should be a game where San Francisco's offensive line continues to get Purdy, or it continues to get confidence and then gives Purdy clean pockets to throw from. Okay, see a lot of comments here on the YouTube chat. Lori Matthews said here, Cardinals have been inconsistent, but the connection of Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. is a little dangerous. Bobo also says here that the Niners have had trouble with mobile quarterbacks like Kyler Murray. Bobo also says here that I'm a little nervous about these two divisional games. We were supposed to beat the Rams. I will say this, that divisional games are always tricky, right? Always tricky. Never guaranteed to win ever in football. If that was the case, the Bengals would be 3-1, right? And they're not 3-1. If that was the case, San Francisco would have beaten the Rams in week 3. But I do think that this game's a little different. Matthew Stafford is a top 10 quarterback. You can argue he's a top 5 quarterback in football. That's how good he is. Like, Matthew Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league and still is to this day. What he's able to do with his arm talent is just next level. Kyler is definitely dangerous. I think Kyler Murray is one of the most underrated players in football, and that comes from a guy that was joking about, the Call of Duty and the study clause in his contract. All those things might be true, but I think that this is a really big test for Nick Sorensen. Sorensen was in Seattle for a couple of years. He's been in San Francisco for a few years. He has seen his defense go against Russell Wilson in his prime. He's seen Saleh and Ryans go against Murray in, I guess you can say, his prime, although he's still relatively young. Murray has given this defense fits when they had Dre Greenlaw, when they had Fred Warner fully healthy, when they had, at this point in time, a better defense on the field. Like, go back to that 2019 team. You had Fred Warner growing into an all-pro, rookie Dre Greenlaw, rookie Nick Bosa, Buckner, Armstead, D Ford that was actually healthy for once. You had Tart and Jimmy Ward, and you had Sherman, and you had Mosley. Like, you had dogs everywhere. And Murray still gave those guys fits to a point that they needed a last-minute Jeff Wilson touchdown to win that game. So this is not going to be easy. It's just probably going to be Nick Sorensen's, I don't want to say his biggest test, but thus far maybe his most telling performance of what he does as a defensive coordinator. Aaron Rodgers, 40-plus years old off an Achilles injury, not very mobile. It's week 1. Things just aren't quite right just yet. Sam Darnold, big arm, not extremely mobile, but okay, the Vikings are hot. They got Jefferson. They make some big plays. There's communication issues, inexcusable ones, albeit, but still there. Okay, it's only his second game calling plays. There's going to be bumps and bruises that have to be kind of healed up later on in the year. Against the Rams, your defense falls apart. That can happen. They correct that against the Patriots, though. But the Patriots have a non-mobile, non-explosive, and really just kind of stuck in the mud offense. How do you respond? How do you carry that over into this game? The way I look at this is that, okay, if Fred Warner plays, what Sorensen can do gets much easier to me. You either have Devondre Campbell, who is a run-stopping linebacker. You have him be the quarterback spy and go, look, you're terrible in pass coverage. Watch Kyler Murray. Or you go and utilize D. Winters, who looks to be healthy enough to play this Sunday. Maybe you go and you put Jalen Graham, who has the archetype to be a Devondre Campbell-type player, a run-stopping linebacker. You just got back from the Commanders out the practice squad this past week. I can see them wanting to use both those young linebackers' athleticism instead of using Devondre Campbell out there. So there is this, use a quarterback spy given, or you go 3 safety sets with Mustafa Hufunga and Jair Brown. You play one of those guys, close to the line of scrimmage. That way you have a faster version of a D. Winters or Devondre Campbell, if you will, that has the ability to be good in pass coverage as well. I think that makes some sense. I would not be shocked to see a lot of 3 safety sets in this game. Sorensen thus far loves Jair Brown playing close to the line. We saw him blitz a couple times the last couple of games, and I also wouldn't be shocked to see, depending on what they do at the nickel position, with whether it's Lenore or Yadam or like last week, Bernardo Green played nickel for the most part. Do you see a lot of nickel blitzes with their players? It will be interesting to see what Sorensen does. There's so many options to choose from, but it's really hard no matter what you do. And you take out Fred Warner of that grouping, you're like, uh-oh. Like, it certainly limits what your defense can do to stop Kyler Murray and the Cardinals offense, which has been surprisingly really good this year, despite their 1-3 record. I think this game, like every game, but against mobile quarterbacks, the necessity to set the edges for cornerbacks, my mind goes to the Rams game and the Vikings game, that Mooney Ward's not setting the edge. He's crashing down towards the middle, allowing players like James Conner. You never want him to be able to get on the edge. He ain't the fastest guy, but James Conner is one of the most underrated running backs in football. Thus far this year, James Conner has gained a first down or a touchdown on 31.8, almost 32% of his carries. That leads the NFL. He's one of the most savvy, knowing when to cut to the outside running backs in football. We've seen him beat a better defense in San Francisco in previous years when they had Colt McCoy. Like, James Conner is a dangerous, dangerous man out of the backfield. There also is a way maybe to handle Kyler Murray like they did against the Patriots, of just ramping up the blitzing. There is danger with that, though. When you do that, Kyler Murray, 1, can evade pressure, obviously, but 2, if Trey McBride is healthy or James Conner, who is really good in the screen game, there is a path of, if you blitz, there's a risk, and the Cardinals do have an offense that can meet that risk and take that reward away. It's a really good offense. I think that many people underrated coming into the year. Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Trey McBride, like, they have the pieces in place. The offensive line's also playing pretty well. Like, obviously with a mobile quarterback, you want your edge rushers. Nick Bosa has to come to play on Sunday, which had a great game against the Patriots. Carry that over into this one. Of all the defensive linemen on this team, he has seen Kyler Murray since day one. It's pick number 1 and number 2 in that 2019 NFL draft. They have been kind of, I guess you can say, tethered together, same division. Like, this is a, hey, Nick Bosa, step it up kind of game. But even through that, you got to have guys like Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins and company. Sam Aquanu had a great game against the Patriots. What can you do for me this week? He plays with energy and spark. I want to see him use that to go against Kyler Murray and a pretty good Cardinals offensive line thus far. And when I mean pretty good, I mean thus far this year, they have the 4th best pressure rate allowed in the NFL. They're good. Now, a lot of that is due to Murray's quick release and Murray's speed and elusiveness, but still a good offensive line. They know how to play together. It's an offense that will keep them in games. Their defense, not so much, but the offense should not be taken lightly. I think Kyler Murray is still a quarterback that can take over a game. Now, who knows how much, but I think at this point in time, it's a young offense for sure, but they're kind of the receivers and the head coach and the offensive coordinator and even Kyler Murray to a certain degree, like they have this young mind of like, we can do anything. Like, we'll throw it deep 30 times a game, and if we hit 3 of them, we have 21 points, right? They're kind of just like, they play very free. It's not restricted. They'll take deep shots on 4th and 2, on 3rd and 6. They will do things that you're like, that's not the way this game should be played. And sometimes you're like, that's head scratching. Thank you for doing so. That helps San Francisco, right? So, like I kind of already said, I can see this game becoming a shootout. The Cardinals have speed. San Francisco's secondary has not done great against speed in previous years and this year as well. Jefferson comes to mind, Tutu Atwell comes to mind, and others come to mind, and you're like, whoa, like, you cannot get beat over the top. They will take shots over the top. I think, Kyler Murray, for as great as he is, kind of how I already said, that on 3rd and short and 4th and short, instead of making plays to keep drives alive, instead of making plays that, okay, let's sustain a drive here, tire the defense out, then make our push, they'll take shots on 4th and 1. They'll take shots on 3rd and 2. They're ill-advised for sure, but you always have to be on your toes with an offense like the Arizona Cardinals. They have Marvin Harrison Jr., first-round pick this year. Michael Wilson from Stanford, he's really fast. We're not exactly sure if Trey McBride will play in this game. He's questionable. I believe he had a concussion or concussion-like symptoms this week. If he's cleared and there's no Fred Warner, although Kyler Murray is not the greatest quarterback at targeting the middle of the field, when you take away Fred Warner, which I called him the greatest eraser of the middle of the field, who's having an all-pro defensive player of the year type of campaign thus far, take him out of the equation, there's a real chance we do get a D. Winters, Devondre Campbell, Jalen Graham, Tatum Bethune linebacking core in this game of rotation. If Fred Warner can't play, he's out. Drake Greenlaw's obviously still out. And Demetrius Flanagan-Falls, he didn't practice today, which might be a godsend, who knows. But Trey McBride playing would definitely give the Cardinals a more apt or a more reason to throw over the middle of the field, which hasn't been the case for most offenses when you have Fred Warner out there. So it could be a big loss for San Francisco that could keep the Cardinals offense on the field even more, which again goes back to playing 3 safeties. I don't want Devondre Campbell in pass coverage. He's terrible. We're talking just like, ugh. You seen that meme when the guy's like, ugh, that's Devondre Campbell. He's not good in pass coverage. He's been scary. He's been really scary. Lori Matthews says here that Buckner said catching Kyler Murray was like trying to catch a mouse in a haystack. It's honestly true. He's so shifty. He's so tiny. And he's so freaking fast. Like, what do? And you give him players like Marvin Harrison, like you already said earlier, Lori, Michael Wilson. Like, this offense is actually really dynamic, despite not really having the name value you'd expect. Like, it ain't got Tyreek Hill, they ain't got Jalen Waddle, they ain't got Debo and Kittle and all these guys we all love that can go out there and get it. They got a bunch of young guys that are like, look, I'm too athletic for my own good. I'm a little bit, out of control sometimes, but, man, like, they can go out there and get it. I do want to talk about Murray and Harrison's connection here in a second because, this team wants to push the ball downfield. I think that, the first quarter in this game is going to be, albeit you got 3 more to go, it's going to be pivotal in stopping the Cardinals offense. What do I mean by that? Looking at the stats, which stats can certainly change week by week, but the last 4 weeks, you kind of have an idea as to what the Cardinals want or at least looking to do offensively. And the connection to Marvin Harrison Jr. has kind of been a first quarter attack. And once that's over with, they ain't much there. So I think being on your toes, gearing up for, okay, they're going to want to attack the ball or the deep ball in the first quarter is like Lenore, Mooney Ward, Hufanga, Jair Brown, Green, Yadam. Be ready. They're double moving you. They're doing posts. They're doing corners. They're doing go balls. They want to beat you deep to make you say, uh-oh, what do we do next, right? So I think looking at the stats for a split second here, Marvin Harrison's first quarter numbers this season, 9 catches, 177 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The rest of the games through 4 weeks, 6 catches for 66 yards and 0 touchdowns. He's averaging 1 touchdown per first quarter. After that, I mean, what is that? He's averaging 1 and like a quarter catch and quick math here, like 20-ish yards or like 15 yards in the second, third, and fourth quarters. Like that first quarter is going to be pivotal in stopping an offense that wants to start fast. The Cardinals want to start fast. They want you to be playing from behind. They know their defense can't stop them. They know their defense is paper thin. They ain't going to stop anybody. They know they have to score. And it's not going to be these long, grueling, sustainable drives. It'll be this boom, home run shot downfield. We're down 6-0. We're on our heels. That's what you have to prepare for. It doesn't just stop with Marvin Harrison Jr., though. Like it really, really, really does start with Kyler Murray. And going into Kyler Murray's stats this year, very similar to Marvin Harrison's. Marvin Harrison so far, great receiver, young receiver, should be an all-pro at least once in his young career when it's all said and done. First quarter stats, he's a phenom. Second through fourth quarter, just kind of invisible. Kyler Murray's kind of the same way. So in the opening 15 plays in 4 games this season, Kyler Murray is 22 of 27 for 290 yards, 5 touchdowns, been sacked just 1 time, and he has 5 scrambles. The other dropbacks, unscripted plays, once they're out of that kind of the first drive of the game, he kind of craters into that's not winnable quarterback play. It's not terrible. It's just like it's not the first quarter. It ain't the first 15 drives. Again, they want to start off fast. The other dropbacks from the non-first 15 plays in the games they've played thus far, 56 for 88, 530 yards, just 1 touchdown, 1 interception, been sacked 9 times, and still has 5 scrambles. This is an offense that wants to start off hot and fast and quick. And once you get them out of these scripted plays and out of these, we know what we're going to do here, be at this point, X, Y, Z. Once you make them get into the game within the game, when the chess match actually begins for Kyler, for Marvin Harrison Jr., for the offensive coordinator against the opposing team's defensive coordinator, they are kind of, I don't want to say lost, it's just that they don't really have the firepower, the oomph. The scheme falls in on itself to a point of they're not in games late. And when the defense can't hold its own, again, the 30th ranked defense in football per EPA, and then the offense after those first 15 plays, after the first quarter, isn't putting up points, San Francisco should be able to, if they can withstand that first big swing of the bat by the Cardinals offense, should be able to walk away with a victory because they should be able to win quarters 2 through 4. The Cardinals are not a team that can maintain success for 4 quarters just yet. Maybe it happens. Maybe it happens in 2-3 years. But right now, this Niners team, even if they lose the first quarter, if they can maintain themselves, don't blink, don't get scared, you're going to get hit hard early. They're going to be deep shots down the field early. The Cardinals offense are going to want to take a big swing in this game in that first quarter. If you can withstand that defensively, your offense should be able to shred their defense like it's no one's business. You ever had some nachos? We're going to give you Nachos XL. You want nacho cheese out of the fountain in front of the Marriott Hotel? We're going to give you that because this Cardinals defense can't stop anybody. So it is pivotal for Nick Sorensen's defense to say, look, we're going to get hit early. We are going to get beat deep early. Prepare for that. Get ready for it. And once it hits you, hit back. That's what San Francisco has to do in this game. Not having Fred Warner certainly limits what they can do defensively for sure. Bobo says here, it sounds like the Niners defense dominates fourth three quarters. Then they can't close out teams with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That shouldn't be a problem in this game. Let's say San Francisco plays eerily similar games to how they've played against the Patriots and against the Rams, right? They're ahead for the majority of the game, and late in the game, or like through kind of a weird spurt, even against the Patriots, there was that 3 or 4 drive kind of like, why can't we score? The Patriots still have a chance to come back and win this game, albeit was like not going to happen. There have been those kind of dry spells of offense, right, where the defense blinks once, so you get these awkward special teams turnovers, which, God, like, please don't do that. The special teams has to get better. It is the literal worst unit in football. It ranks 32nd. I don't care if you guys have to use stickum or glue, Little Giants style. If you got to go on the field with the in between your hands and you see it like cheese, it's stuck in between you like glue, you use it. Don't fumble the freaking football. Don't run into your own guys. But back to Bobo's comment, San Francisco in this game should be able to play a complete 4 quarters of football. I'm expecting this game to be their most complete game thus far this season. Again, the Cardinals are going to come out hot, ready to go, play quick, all that stuff I already said. But I think San Francisco, if they get hit and they start to hit back, it should be a pretty good trouncing of the Arizona Cardinals. Niner Trump here said in the YouTube chat a couple minutes ago, said that these next 2 games are essentially quote-unquote playoff games and should be treated as such. If Niners bring their A game, they should be division leaders by the end of next Thursday, sitting at 4-2. And he says here, before our next showdown against the Kansas City Chiefs. You're right. This game is a playoff game. San Francisco is 2-2 this year. They're 2-0 at home, 0-2 on the road, and 0-1 in the NFC West division. This game is an opportunity, yes, to be 3-2, get above 500, inch closer to Seattle, who currently has the NFC West lead. But also, you get that first divisional win. You win your first game against the NFC Conference. That's a big deal. You want the number 1 seed. Got to win conference games. So, it's a big game for a variety of reasons, not just NFC West standings implications. It is a conference game, NFC West game. You get above 500, and hopefully you can get healthy once you come out of the game, right? Your fingers crossed, no big injuries. It feels like every single game this year has been, oh, now that guy's hurt. Oh, now that guy's hurt. Who else can get hurt? So I'm hoping that we can get reinforcements soon, get the win on Sunday. I am going to predict that in this game that the Niners will win. Surprise, right? But I think it'll be closer than people think, and not because they're not playing well. I just think the Cardinals offense, coming off a humiliating loss against the Commanders, they are going to come out, fight back, give San Francisco some fits, but San Francisco, I think, will score 33 points in this game handily. I think 33, is their highest number thus far this year. They scored 32 against the Jets, 30 against the Patriots, put up 30 more in this game. I think the Cardinals will have a good shot offensively, but I think this game will be close. But once halftime comes around, San Francisco starts to pull away. I think it'll be 33-23. San Francisco gets the win. cannot wait. Cannot wait to watch this game on Sunday, to see Nick Sorensen's game plan against the Cardinals, to see Brock Purdy have an MVP-like performance once again. It's a good opportunity. If you got him in fantasy, you better play him. If you're thinking of taking the over, by all means, hammer the over. This game should have some fireworks, and I cannot wait to watch, hopefully, San Francisco win this game, whether they have Fred Warner or George Kittle or not. They're the better team, better roster, and they should, with the better quarterback and the better offensive weapons and the better defense, be able to win this game. Should be fun. Really fun, exciting game. I think this is for all the talk of can Brock Purdy win with the weapons or not, or how real is this current run he's on, I think this is a great opportunity. Like Bobo says, that he believes Brock Purdy will win the MVP this year. He certainly is in that category of, okay, it's Josh Allen's having a great season, Sam Darnold's been good, Baker Mayfield's been good, but Brock Purdy is in that conversation of, if you can keep this up, you win some games, throw for 300-plus yards and 2 touchdowns, the respect is going to finally fall his way, because Brock Purdy has just been so darn good this year. Whether it's deep balls, underneath stuff, Brock Purdy has just been another level of Brock Purdy so far. So cannot wait to watch this one. If you kindly could like, share, and subscribe to here or the audio podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, give us a 5-star review and tell your friends about the show. And if you also could follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the Twitter or the X, whatever you prefer. The Instagram is at 49ers.access. We post all updates, latest news on those 2 platforms. And if you want to go to any sporting event this year, whether it's this week, next week, Christmas time, go to SeatGeek.com and use our promo code 49ErsAccess, 49 ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. And if you are waiting by your phone, scrolling for updates constantly of, is Fred Warner and George Kittle gonna play this Sunday? Don't go on Twitter. Don't go on ESPN. Go to sportspider.com. It is the #1 place to get all the latest articles, podcasts, news, YouTube videos in the exact same place of your favorite teams. sportspider.com. Again, #1 place, #1 shop for all Niners news from myself, from David Lombardi, Tim Kawakami, all the people you already follow. They're all going to be on sportspider.com giving you updates in one place, one centralized location for all your Niners news. And if you kindly could, like, share, subscribe, leave that review, and hopefully next week we're talking the Niners' victory over the Arizona Cardinals, being 3-2. Brock Purdy out there balling like he always seems to do the past few weeks. And can't wait to hopefully talk to you on a Victory Monday next week. It's a short week. If San Francisco wins this Sunday, only a few more days to wait to watch San Francisco play again Thursday Night Football in Seattle. I hope they're wearing the white throwbacks. What else would you do? Maybe we get a Ricky Pearsall sighting. I'm getting myself too excited for a game that isn't even here yet, because San Francisco has to get past the Cardinals first. But I cannot wait to watch it. And hopefully next time I see you, we're talking San Francisco 49ers victory on the mind on a Victory Monday when it's all said and done. My name is Sterling Bennett. Want to thank Lori Matthews, Kim, Bobo, Eric Wallace, Niners Trump in the chat, having a good time, I guess. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and until next time, as always, stay faithful.